Today's artist was Moore College's 2018 Distinguished Alumna.
My name is Janice Merendino. My newest work is inspired by 3 decades of old family photos, including those I took of my grandparents' home in Atlantic City, New Jersey in the 1970s when visiting from college. My grandmother is a central figure in this work. Growing up, my grandmother was a formidable figure and a bit of a mystery to me. We weren't particularly close, but as I've aged, I've become more curious about her. She came to the U.S. from Italy for an arranged marriage when she was 19 years old. In this painting, this strong matriarch is reflected in a mirror dressed in her Sunday best, wearing an orchid corsage. These paintings of my grandmother's home are also a kind of portrait. In this piece, Kitchen Sink, I realized that I wanted to add cutouts, much like making paper dolls as a kid. I found myself only adding color to the things that would have attracted me as a child. Enjoying Grandpop's homemade wine at Sunday dinner, this painting is layered on top of a monoprint that I made from one of my grandmother's crocheted doilies. I painted telephones as if they still held the animated conversations I can no longer remember. The family photographs include memories of my late uncle, who was also a big influence in my life. My uncle was a gay man who passed away at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. The painting Blinds is a vivid memory of my uncle's shirts hanging in the bedroom at my grandmother's, the home he grew up in. I think a lot about his hidden life, never fully shared with his family until the disease gave him no choice. It was a life behind blinds and curtains. My sadness is mixed with curiosity, though, wondering if he was alive now, how different his life could have been. As a result of the disease, my uncle lost his sight. I remember him coming down the stairs using the wall to steady himself, and in the bottom section of this painting, his courage suppressing the feeling of fear and loss. Japan has been a strong influence in my work since my uncle lent me money to make my first trip there in 1973 to study traditional pottery. A year later, I was one of 5 potters who founded Philadelphia's clay studio. But I returned from Japan with an equal passion for brush and ink painting and exhibited ink paintings with my porcelain pottery in Tokyo in 1982. It was a thrill when the gallery owner invited Isamu Noguchi, a sculptor I greatly admired, to come to my exhibit. In addition to teaching ceramics, I began to give drawing classes and was surprised when a lawyer in my drawing class mentioned that learning to draw was helping him at work. That one comment led me to look into all of the transferable skills that relate to creative problem solving in the workplace. This research encouraged me to create the Branch Out project in 1998. Since that time, I've taught over 2,000 non-artists in business and the community how to draw with a method I designed specifically for beginners. You can see the results of this work at branchoutproject.com. I returned to Japan several times to learn about calligraphy and other techniques I now use in my work. The layers and sections in my paintings and my calligraphy are put together using a scroll mounting technique called ura-uchi. To keep the paper flat and fuse the layers, I have to work with the paper wet. Although these papers are strong, when they are wet, they need to be carefully lifted, positioned, and glued with thin layers of wheat starch that I cook into a paste. The edges are glued until the pieces dry, and then they are released. I practiced calligraphy to learn the discipline of the brush and increase my repertoire of mark making. In calligraphy, as in my painting, it is a one-time event. There's no going over a stroke. So mastery comes only with the repetition and the corrections of my teacher, artist Mayumi Tomi. In the past, my work has primarily been abstract images, so this upcoming exhibit was going to be quite a departure for me. I included 2 abstract pieces to express the feeling of having memories and trying to capture them. In Memories That Fall Into Place, I imagine memories that bubble up, not necessarily complete, floating until they settle and sift themselves into a particular slot. Please visit my website to see more of my work and the announcement of my upcoming exhibit at Cerulean Arts Gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice, for so beautifully organizing your pictures and stories for me. Someday you're going to have to try your hand at making movies. I think you're a natural.